The seas all around Ireland these days seem to be full of people and companies looking for oil, and many argue that if we found oil or gas, this would be the answer to all our prayers. But have a look at this little cartoon from my new course, Economics Without Boundaries, which is up on Udemy, the Udemy platform right now. And it explains, via the kaleidoscope of the experience of the Dutch economy, why it isn't always a bed of roses for countries that find resources off their coasts. The Dutch, arguably, or not even arguably, evidentially one of the most prudent and clever mercantile races on the planet, and yet in the 1960s the Dutch found huge amounts of gas off the North Sea, just off the coast of northern Holland. Everybody said, fantastic, that's going to do brilliantly for Holland. But what happened was something very strange. And this is an important point. And this also comes back to the instability of oil supplies. So the Dutch said, okay, we found gas. Then people started working in the gas industry. Then lots of capital went into the gas industry. Then wages went up in the gas industry. Then profits went up in the gas industry. Then more capital went in. And two things happened. One is other Dutch industry began to be starved of capital because capital said, you know what, I want to go in oil and gas, gas because that makes more sense, number one. So the Dutch began to see a reduction in their exporting. Interesting. Number two, what happened is, obviously as wages in the oil sector went up, people said, hold on a second, wages in the oil sector are going up, we're a Western European country, their wages are going up, let's benchmark the wages of the rest of Holland against the oil workers. And what happens, of course, is that Dutch prices and wages went up, following the prices and wages in the gas sector. And two things happen then. The manufacturing industry is starved of capital, so it doesn't produce as much. And the manufacturing industry of Holland has to deal with higher wages from its workers. And suddenly what you got was, rather than having a massive current account expansion, the Dutch ended up having a trade deficit and having to borrow money abroad, amazingly, to pay, despite the fact that they should have done much better because they'd found oil. So if you're interested in looking at the world of economics through the kaleidoscope of animations and up-to-date reports from around the world, and for practical suggestions of how the real world works, just sign up to the course at the address you see in front of you, and I hope you enjoy taking the course quite as much as I enjoyed making the course.